Hi, 8th grade. Welcome to lesson 2-9. This is your last lesson of topic 2. Today we are analyzing linear equations, y equals mx plus b. By the end of the lesson, I want you to be able to say, I can derive the equation y equals mx plus b. Let's explain it. Zhu and John take the tram from the base camp to the mountain summit. After about 6.5 minutes in the tram, John says, cool, we are a mile above sea level. Zhu says, we passed the 1 mile mark a couple minutes ago. All right, let's talk about what's actually happening here. They're starting at the mountain lodge elevation, which is 2,080. And they're taking this tram, and they're going all the way up. And they're going at a rate of 800 feet per minute. But the start is at 2,080 feet. So we need to construct an argument to defend why Zhu says we already passed the mile mark a couple minutes ago. Well, Zhu is saying an important thing to note, that 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. Well, if we are starting at 2,080 feet, 5,280 minus 2,080 means we only have to go 3,200 feet. And if we're traveling at a rate of 800 feet per minute, we could divide that 3,200 divided by 800 equals 4. That means it would only take them 4 minutes to reach a mile above sea level, which if they've already been going for 6.5 minutes, yeah, it makes sense that they passed the mile mark a couple minutes ago. What mistake could John have made? Explain. Well, my thought process is that if they're traveling 800 vertical feet per minute and they traveled for 6.5 minutes, multiply that, you would get 5,200. So maybe John thinks that they've been traveling, they've traveled a distance of 5,200 feet, but they aren't 1 mile above sea level. They're 1 mile above where they started, and they started at 2,080. So John could have made the mistake thinking he thought they started at sea level. But we know they started at 2,080. Remember that start point is our y-intercept? We're going to connect last lesson to this lesson. Can you use the equation y equals mx to represent the path of the tram? Is there a proportional relationship between x and y? So in order for it to be a proportional relationship, remember we have to have a straight line, and a straight line comes from having a constant rate. Well, we do have a constant rate. We're going by the same amount every minute. We're going 800 feet every minute. So we do have that constant rate. But the other thing we need to know is we need to start at the origin, which means starting at 0. Did our problem start at 0? No. So we can't use the equation y equals mx. No, because the start point is not the origin. Okay, our y-intercept is not 0. Our y-intercept was 2,080. Example 1. Write the equation of a line. The middle school student council is organizing a dance and has $500 to pay a DJ. DJ Dave will charge $200 for a setup fee and the first hour, or $425 for a setup fee and 4 hours. How can the student council determine whether they can afford to have DJ Dave play for 5 hours? Okay, so we've got two equations here. We don't have 2 equations, we have 2 points, because we're using time in hours and total cost. So if he does the first hour, it's been one hour, it's going to cost us $200. if it's been 4 hours, it's going to cost us $425. So we can graph those 2 points on a graph. So plot the total costs. And then we can find the slope. Remember, we label these x1, y1, x2, y2. Solve for the slope and get 75. But also we see that at the hourly rate, 75. If you ever see rate, that tells us that's the slope. So we know it's going to be y equals 75x. But if you look at the line, it doesn't start at 0. It doesn't start at 0, 0, the origin. That's because he also charges a setup fee. That's going to be your y-intercept, what you start with. Before he even DJs any hours, he charges you $125 in order to just set up. So our whole equation is y equals mx plus b. Let's write this down. Y equals mx plus b. We already talked about m is always the slope. And b is now the y-intercept. It always goes in that order. So this is called slope-intercept form. This is one of your vocab words. Y equals mx plus b, where m is the rate of change, or the slope, and b is the initial value, or the y-intercept. Initial value, the start value. Okay, so we want to do this for 5 hours. We're not done yet. Remember, hours is on the x-axis. So if we have 5 and we have our equation, we're going to plug 5 in for x. So we do 75 times 5, which is 375, plus the $125 it costs to set up, which equals $500. The total cost is $500, which means the student council can afford DJ Dave. Let's try it. Write a linear equation in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form, all that means is y equals mx plus b. It's called slope-intercept because we have the slope, the m, and we have the intercept, the b. So they're going to walk us through this. The y-intercept of the line. Well, remember, y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So it crosses right here at 2. The slope, our rise over run. Okay, we can pick 2 good points. So there's a point 0, 2, and here's a point 4, 5. This is my x1, y1, x2, y2. I can use the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. My y2 is 5, my y1 is 2. Over x2 is 4, x1 is 0, 5 minus 2 is 3 over 4. So my slope is 3 over 4. Another way to do that, remember slope is rise over run. So we can count from one point to another how much we rise, 1, 2, 3, versus how much we run, 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing, same answer. So the equation slope-intercept form is y equals, and there's supposed to be an m here, but instead of m, we're doing it for our specific problem. So we found our slope to be 3 over 4. Y equals mx plus b, and our b value is our y-intercept, which is 2. What 2 values do you need to know to write an equation of a line, and how are they used to represent the line? So we need m, that's our slope. And we need b, that's our y-intercept. So that's y equals mx plus b. Whenever you write an equation, you only fill in for the m and the b. You always leave the y and the x. Example 2, a saltwater solution is cooled to -6 degrees Celsius. During an experiment, the mixture is heated at a steady rate. Write an equation to represent the temperature y in x minutes. So again, all we need to fill out is the m and the b. So they looked, where does it cross the y-axis? At -6. That is our y-intercept. So they have -6. They also looked to see what our slope was. Well, rise over run. The run is 1, 2, 3. The rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rise over run, 6 divided by 3 equals 2. So the equation line is y equals 2x minus 6. You could also say y equals 2x plus negative 6. Same answer. Other way around, they want us to graph it. So they're going to give us the equation and we have to graph it. So remember, I'm going to say it over and over again. Y equals mx plus b. So here we can pull out our m is negative 4 and our b is 3. I always start with the b, that's the easiest. That's your y-intercept. So you know on the y-axis, you should put a point at 3. That's your b. From there, you're going to use your slope. Well, remember, slope is rise over run. So we rise negative 4 and run 1. So rising negative 4 really means we're going to go down 4, then over 1, put a point. Connect the lines, straight line, draw arrows, and you are good to go. So write the equation of the line shown and graph the line. I want you to pause the video and do it yourself. Press play when you're ready to go over it. So the equation of the lines shown, you always need to find m and you need to find b. I always start with b. I think it's easier. Also, b comes first in the alphabet. Also, b for Becca, so like, woohoo. We've got y-intercept. Where does it cross the y-axis? It crosses at 2. Now we need to find our slope, so we can pick 2 good points and go from one to the other. So we go down 2 and over 4. So if I'm going down 2, is it positive or negative? Negative. And I go to the right 4. So my slope is negative 2 over 4. I know I can also reduce that to negative 1/2. But we still have to write the equation. So y equals mx plus b. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. B, graph the equation, y equals 1/3 x minus 5. So what's our m and what's our b? The m is 1/3, our b is negative 5. So again, I like to start with b. Comes first in the alphabet, b for Becca, should start first. So I'm going to put a point at negative 5 on the y-axis because it's the y-intercept. Now I'm going to go follow the rise over run. So from that y-intercept, I go up 1 over 3, put a point. Up 1 over 3, put a point. I'm going to see if I can go the opposite way following the same pattern, but now down 1 to the left 3, put a point. Once you have enough points, connect with a straight line and draw arrows. Key concept. The equation of a line that represents a non-proportional relationship can be written in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope of the line and b is the y-intercept. So this is slope, which is rise over run, which we know the equation y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And b is our y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis. All right, 8th grade, let's go over and say it. I can derive the equation y equals mx plus b. Have a great day.